to turquoise. I want to have really pure colors in here. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use now. So let's start to do some shading, and I'm going to clean my brush. And as per scheme, I'm going to start. Okay, this is our scheme. Let's go back to our scheme. Okay, as per scheme, I'm going to start with a little bit on the top, adding the shading, and a little bit on the bottom. And I'm going to start with the yellow, of course mixed with clear. And that will be my first shading. And I'm going to place a little bit of my yellow, you see, in here on the top. And right away, you can see that my yellow in here becomes a little bit more dull, but it's still nice yellow. Okay, and I'll do exactly the same on the bottom. I'll still want to have my lemons nice and bright. This is really important, because sometimes we can see these lemons and they're really dull, especially if you're using a lot of maybe pastel yellow. So I would just recommend you use as a base the neon stuff as well if you don't have it. And here in this little axis, a little bit of shading as well. And while I have my layer wet, I still need to cure it just to make it quicker. The Go Green has a little bit of the white base, so I don't need to really worry about the transparency. Okay, so this will be my one leaf in here. And then I will do another one, maybe here. Nice and easy, like a little triangle in shape. Okay, not too much. So that will be my base in here for the leaves. That's perfect. They'll just standing up. And if you maybe want to add a little bit smaller one in here, one more, why not? So base is done. Let's cure it. 30 seconds. In the meantime, I will do my other tip as you would do in the salon the other hand. And then we will, of course, continue with our shading. Okay, let's go back. And now we're following with our amber. And I'll pick up a little bit of the amber, a little bit of the yellow, mix them together. So I'll have a little bit more orange, a little bit more less warm shade, because this is really reddish. And then a little bit of clear as well. So mix them on the go. And then I will follow my first line from the scheme, but this time I'll make it a little bit smaller. And here the line as well. Nice. I will just remove the excess of the product from my brush, and I will just pull it towards the middle. So it'll be smaller than my previous. And then I'll just go slightly under my little tick, and I'll do exactly the same in the opposite direction. So this is just the two shades, two sides, not too much. And then separate this part. And you see in the middle, I can still see my neon, then a little bit less bright, a little bit duller yellow, and then at the edge, my amber. And this one goes to the light for 10 seconds, and we'll continue. So now let's do a little bit of the brown. We're going to use tiny bit of the brown, so be careful with this one. Okay, make sure, because it's our pure color, we add then quite a decent amount of the base and top. Okay, and just tiny bits are going on top of our amber on the top. You see, just a tiny amount of this product. You really don't want to overdo it, because we still want to have our lemon that is lemon. Okay, so this is really important. Be careful with your shading. So you can see the shading is relatively straightforward. It's quite easy. This is just to add a little extra to it. And of course, we are going to add a little thing just to make sure our design is really looking 3D. And here I will just take the pure brown just to add a little edges here. thin lines, okay, not too much. This is just to add a little extra. This one goes to the light for 10 seconds. Okay, the next thing we will need will be our green, and again I'm going to use a little bit of fresh base and top. Before we add extra details to our lemon, we'll still need to add a little bit of shading. And just to keep it really simple, okay, I'll have my lucky green, mix it with my clear, just to make it super transparent. Okay, first, and you see the difference between the green and the lucky green here is this one is a little bit more turquoisey. So this one is much greenish look. And what I will do, I will start with the bottom part, okay, with the leaves, and I will just pull the product towards the middle, just like that. Okay, and here again I will just go like under our lemon and then pull the product towards roughly the middle of my nail. Nice and easy. Okay, the product should blend naturally without too much stress, overdo it. If you see that you have a lot of line work, it means that your product is not transparent enough. Add more base and top and you will see a difference. Okay, this is what changes the beautiful artwork from just simple designs. Okay, so if you want to have your designs a little bit more expensive, add this little step to your shading, so then you won't have any of the lines. You will see how smoothly everything is blending, because of course we can do everything on a one blend, but it's not about that. Okay, so now this one goes to the light, and then of course we'll continue with the second blend. Okay, let's go back with the second blend. You know the drill. We added more of our green to the clear to make it darker, but still semi-transparent. So it's not completely green, it's not pure green. I would say 60-40, something like that. And again, I'll just go under in here, under my lemon, under my shape, and then pull it gently product towards my blend. Okay, I'm using Jessica's Choice today, and this is just accidentally because I found this brush. I didn't found it, it was just lying there next to me. And as you can see, you can do your painting with any of the brush, any fine brush that you like. Blush brush, Jessica's Choice, Vrash brush. Vrash brush is absolutely fantastic to create any of the designs like this one. I used to do all of my designs with the Vrash brush before we had these. And then you see, like from the middle, I'm just going to pull slightly this product to create like a little line, a little vein, like a triangle. Okay, and I'll do the same in here. But you see, the brush really doesn't matter. It has to be relatively new. It has to be sharp, so all the hair needs to be together. It has to be good quality brush. So of course, from this perspective, really matters. But is a blush brush or Silvana's Choice or Jessica's Choice, just use whatever fit your hands and suit you. This technique can be done with any of the brush. You can also use the Taylor number 3 or the Taylor number 1 if you fancy. So I pulled the product a little bit to the middle, so I will have this like middle of the leaf divided. This one we're curing, and we'll add some final details to these leaves. Okay, let's finish with our leaves. Now picking up more of my lucky green, and now my mixture will be 90% of my pure color, 10% of my base and top. Okay, so it's still a little bit darker, and then I'm just going tiny line now my base of the leaf, and I will just pull a little bit the line. Yeah, and then I will do exactly the same with my other leaf. So you see now the leaves are looking a little bit more interesting. They're not as simple. So now taking it out, cleaning my brush, so I will just pull it slightly, gently, gently, gently. I still want to see my previous blend, okay, a little bit. And then now the top leaf, and here outside my lemon. You can see now still we didn't finish all the highlights and stuff, but you can now see already that our lemon is on top of the leaves. And this is your aim in here when you're going to create this shading, to make sure your design look as real as possible. This is quite important, especially if you promise to your client to make something that is a little bit more realistic. Okay, now we're going to do a few more things, a few more details. So I promised a little flowers as well. I have in here the Cerisa Sweeties black licorice. Okay, it's no white color gel. You can use the liner gel black, is no problem at all. So if you prefer to use this one, is fine. It doesn't really matter on this stage. I just need nice black, so I'll be able to create extremely fine lines. Now, I don't want to overdo it with the black. I want my design to be super duper pure colors, okay? So these lines in black, they need to be extremely thin. If you're not 100% sure, mix black with brown to make it extremely dark brown, and just to make sure your lines are better, okay? So you see how fine my lines will be, super fine, okay? And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to connect these little branches in here, like in here, because I want to paint these little flowers in here. So these are super fine. I'm going to place it a little bit closer. Now if you're going to see, okay, from here. So you see how fine these lines are? Super fine. So this is how thin they need to be. Do not overdo it, because it's easily to ruin your design. Okay, and now we have the our little branches, okay? And here, this is how simple will be our flowers. So I'm going to pick up this white that we did before for the mixing of the white, and I'm going to just create this little drop-like flower. So just 3, okay? Just like this. So we're just creating the shape with the white. So like little flowers. I don't want to do anything more than that, because my main design is the lemon. And this is just a little extra, so we can add the colors and make our design even more complex, especially if we have a little bit bigger tip. Now, if you have already small tip or small nail, and your lemon already takes over 3/4 of the design, please do not add more flowers. You really do not have to. This one, we're going to cure it, and then we're going to add a little bit of pink into it. And guys, for our pink, a little bit of the pink glass. You can use any pink, of course, Gelpolish. Again, if you fancy, you can even use the neon pigment, no problem at all. So if you need to create some color, it's not an issue. I will just clean my brush, and I will pick up more of the clear base and top in here. And then I will mix my pink with the clear to make it semi-transparent. I will only need tiny amount of my pink, because it will be just a little shade in here on the bottom of my little flowers, okay? So do not overdo it. Tiny color, just to add a little extra, and we're going to pull it towards the edges. And of course, if you want to do it one more time with the second layer, depending on the size of your petals in here, let's cure it 10 seconds. Oh, just touch my light. And then I'll show you, we can also do it as a second layer, a little bit darker. But as I mentioned, this is not necessary. This is just a little extra, just depending really on your size of the flowers. Okay, so here at the base, I'm placing a little bit darker pink, you can see. And then here as well, and here as well. I'm not even blending because there's nothing really to blend. Let's cure 10 seconds and continue. Now guys, we are nearly there before we finish, but we just need to add a few little things. First thing, I'm going to pick up a little bit of my brown, my pure brown, and I'm going to do a little connection from my branch to my leaves. And I'm just doing this like 1, 2, 3. Okay, just a little lines. These are super fine, super tiny. You shouldn't even see it. This is how small they are. Okay, make sure you do not overdo it. This is it. If you're not feeling like it, and if you feel like, oh my god, this is too small, I don't want to touch it, that will be too much, just don't do it. It's fine. Now I'm going to quickly pre-cure it. Now I'm going to also use my pure green, lucky green, and I'm going to go over the my leaves, okay, the shape of my leaves with my lucky green, but this time I'm going to go from outside, from the tip down. Okay, so in the here I have from the tip down, is not as visible. Okay, just to make like edges, and here I'm going to do it as well, and then I'll take the line down, just like a little extra. Later we're still going to do our highlights, but it's just to add a little extra darkness into my leaves, just like that. Okay, let's pre-cure it. And now the last thing that I need to do before I'll even start any highlights, I want my lemon to look more 3D, okay, so will be a little bit more rounded. So what I want to add the highlight in the middle of my lemon. Okay, so it looks like a little belly that's sticking out. That will be much brighter than my yellow. So for this one, I'm going to use my white, and my white is going to be mixed with the base and top. Extremely transparent white. Okay, if you add too much white, what's going to happen? You will have the situation that your design will become too white and too dull. Okay, we still want to see the yellow. We just want to add a little belly like in the middle, and here I'm adding this white highlight. Okay, so just a little bit of white, mixing it a little bit more visible, just in the middle. Okay, and this one should be like a nicely spread towards the edges. Shouldn't be visible that I even use that. If I will just now put some macro camera, then you should see my white going towards the yellow, but from the naked eyes, from the distance, you should see 3D lemon, even though it's nearly flat. Okay, this is really important. If you want to do extra highlights here, you can also add them a little bit into your leaves in this super light green. This is really optional. You don't have to, can just do it, but the lemon here is really important. Then I will give you the more realistic and more 3D look, because we have this light at the top. Let's cure it 30 seconds, and we're going to finish it with the base and top and matte top gel, of course. Okay guys, as always, if we want to finish our design with the extreme matte top gel, we first need to go with the base and top to connect everything together, to make sure our design is nice and smooth without adding extra grayness. Okay, so you see, if I would just apply a really thin layer, it is uneven. Okay, so I need to apply it a little bit thicker to make it smooth. Okay, but if I will do it with the extreme matte top gel, apply too much of the product, that will right away create this dull effect. So please do not forget about this one. Now I'm just flipping the nail upside down, nice and smooth. Let's cure it 30 seconds. Okay, so we're ready with the extreme matte top gel. If you don't want to finish this design with extreme matte top gel, it's absolutely fine. You can use the glossy top gel, it's no problem at all. I think the highlights and everything is a little bit more visible with the extreme matte, but of course it's up to your clients at the end of the day what you want to achieve. If you, doesn't really matter if you're going to use the glossy top gel or the extreme matte top gel, use the base and top first, okay? That will really make a difference. I'll just flip it upside down, make sure everything is nice and smooth, and this one goes to the light for 90 seconds. Okay guys, so the very last thing that's left for us is the white liner gel. We are going to use the pure white. I'm going to place a little bit on my paper palette. Of course you can use the mix, Jessica's mix, or whatever you fancy. I like to use pure white. And of course now the brush matters. So we're looking for the brush that you can create amazing thin lines for the artwork. So now we have our matte. You see the colors are still extremely bright, and this is what you're looking for when you're going to create these designs. Now we're going to add a little bit of white to it and just create some highlights, and I'm going to start from this part. And even if you've seen like our brown was a little bit darker, now it just became much lighter. And then a little covered in here and here as well. I've just got a bit too thick. I'll flip, and then on the other side. So I'm just going outside my little flow, and I don't need to add any highlight inside because my lemon is already done here. I will just add a little corner, so that's a little piece, and here as well. You can just add a few lines if you want to this one. And I'm going to do some outlines for my leaves, and I'm going to start from outside, following my green lines, and then the middle. So I'm just going from outside in, and here of course this specific leaf is not fully visible, but that's okay. And then in here I'll go as well from here in, and then from the same line I will just go towards the middle. Keep the lines really thin. Remember, you don't want to overdo it. If you struggle with your line work, please go back to our fine lines nail art. This is the basic. This is something that you really need to create perfect designs. So you see, I'm following just the outlines just to make sure everything is there. You can of course add a little extra maybe veins if you fancy in here, but this is really optional. Maybe we can add a few in here, but we didn't add them with the green, so that may just not look perfect. But yeah, if you fancy to add some veins, that will be from the middle. Try not to make them all exactly the same when you're creating the veins in the leaves. So like one side will be like 2 line, and then opposite just the 1. So they won't be all the same, because then they will just look too symmetrical. Okay, this is it. I'm not adding any white to leaves anymore because that will be too much. And of course, if you want to, you can add some outlines into your little flowers. Okay, little flowers in here, but be careful because these flowers are extremely small. and you need to make sure you add in just a tiny touch of white. Okay, you don't want to overdose it, do it. So if you feel that on that stage you will be I'm not really sure if I can do the outlines that will be that small, this is absolutely fine. I'm going to add a little more in here with our lemon, and then in here. What I want you to notice in here with this painting, and especially when I'm in general painting the flowers with the gel polish and stuff, I'm not adding any shading outside or not in the specific techniques and stuff. All of our design is done with the gel polish, okay? We create in our design that looks 3D without adding extra shading and without making our design a little bit less bright, because I think that's quite important as well. If we can create our design that is nice and bright always, and will fit our clients' needs. So this is it. I'm happy with this one. You can see our lemon is completely flat, still looking on top of the leaves and still looks 3D. And I'm going to cure it now 1.5 minutes, and then we'll see the end result. Okay guys, so here our end result and our lemons. So when the life gives you lemons, just paint them on the nails or create some lemonade. I hope this is what you were looking for when creating the lemons, and I've met your expectations with this one. Of course, if you want to, just let me know and we can follow up with different lemons, like for example open fruits or something, but this is where you can find everywhere ideas as well. So if you need that, please let me know and we'll continue, or maybe we'll just do some other fruits. So if you fancy maybe some fruity salads, we can do this as well and just follow it, because we're just slowly moving towards much warmer months and we can create some summer designs as well. Thank you so much for this one, and I'm really looking forward to see your take.